So you spent all that money and got yourself a holographic sight, not realizing that the reticle will be grainy or super fuzzy. It might be time for you to actually get a reflex sight like the HOLOSUN AEMS. Now this could be due to a multitude of different reasons, mainly being poor eyesight or focusing on the wrong area. Most of the time it's going to be poor eyesight though. As you age, your eyesight gets worse, and you can be like me and just have bad eyesight in general. Ah, crap, I'm just Asian. Hey guys, today we have the HOLOSUN AEMS Reflex sight. It is a red or green dot type, and it does have multiple different reticle options available right now. Taking a look at this little beauty right here, it fits and looks so darn good. This thing's operating off of a 2 MOA dot and a 65 MOA ring. It is IP8 waterproof rated, and it is a fully enclosed optic system. So you don't have to worry about any water or weather getting into it. It does come with these nice little dust caps right here so that you can pretty much get a clear view in case these things get fogged up. They also operate as a shield just in case you bang it around a little bit too much. But these things are absolute tanks. And taking a look at the reticle, you'll notice that it's extremely clear as opposed to holographics out there. There's no fuzziness or graininess. These things are just absolutely clear. Now it is unlimited eye relief, so what that means is you can pretty much place this optic anywhere in terms of distance, and that little dot will stay exactly the same size. Taking a look here, you'll notice that it stays exactly the same size no matter what distance we actually put it at. With it, you'll notice that dot in the center right there is actually 2 MOA. 2 MOA is going to be roughly about 2 inches at 100 yards. These things aren't necessarily meant for super long range shooting. However, they are extremely clear, so you can definitely do so if you have the correct magnifier to actually go with it. The dot on the outside is 65 MOA. You can turn it off if you actually want to. HOLOSUNs will allow you to actually just have the 65 MOA ring by itself, or just the dot by itself. Just in case it gets too busy in terms of your sight picture, you can actually have that option, which is extremely nice. The little panels that I put up are just more meant for like shielding. In terms of zeroing these things, these do get 100 MOAs worth of adjustment, so that's 50 up and 50 down. These dial adjustments are made to be half MOA adjustments, so you can actually really fine tune these things even for a close range optic like this one. Just testing out the zeroing right here at roughly about 50 yards. We're just gonna go for a couple headshots and see how that goes. Roughly about 12 shots at 50 yards. We'll take a closer look and see where the shot placements were for the most part. I haven't even zeroed this thing up yet. I just pretty much slapped it on my rifle and wanted to see where I was shooting at. And as you can see here at 50 yards, I do have to travel over a little bit to the right and maybe up a little bit because I was just aiming roughly around right here. But 50 yards for a grouping that's roughly about 2 inches wide, that's not too bad outside the box. Now we saw that I was roughly about an inch short of where I was aiming at and roughly about an inch to the left of where I was aiming at. So at 50 yards, to get those things zeroed up, you just got to multiply it by 2. So at 50 yards, I just got to double up the increments in terms of the adjustments, and I should be right there. So I want it to go up roughly about 1 inch at 50 yards, so I'll have to go up roughly about 4 clicks. And I want it to go right roughly about 1 inch, so I'm gonna have to go right roughly about 4 clicks. And let's see how that actually hits. Let's take a look, and saw that zero at 50 yards. Those adjustments pretty much made it exactly where I needed it to be. Maybe a few more clicks to the right, but in general, the turret system is working pretty darn accurately so far for me. Now you may be wondering what I'm doing with this. I'm not going to zero towards the 308. I'm going to use it as a reference so that we can actually test it out with the 5.56. We'll just see if this thing actually holds zero after this string of fire. Let's take it off, put it back on the 5.56 and see if it actually held zero or not. All right, got it mounted back up. We'll see how well she held in terms of zero. Let's take a look. It looks like it did hold zero pretty darn good at 50 yards. Everything was within that same grouping. All I did was aim at this area. I wasn't really taking my time shooting it. So 308 is definitely rated for that stuff. We're going to test it out with some 12 gauge to see if that actually causes deviation. All right, we got our 12 gauge right here. It's going to shoot double aught buck, high velocity stuff, and we're going to see if it actually holds zero. I got roughly about 7 rounds in this thing, semi-automatic, and we'll see if the 223 can actually hold it afterwards. Let's check it out. All right, now that we actually went through that 12 gauge, we're going to check that zero, and then we'll continue on. Let's check it out. So at 50 yards with that 12 gauge afterwards, we were still able to hold zero pretty darn good. I don't see any deviation or any significant deviation between the 12 and also the 308. So the 223 is definitely holding zero no matter what. I was expecting a little bit of deviation in the least with the 12 gauge, but the AEMS is eating it up like a champ. The math is definitely mathing. Lastly, we're just gonna do a couple drills to see how these things will perform and function at closer ranges. Wanna try to use that 65 MOA ring at roughly about 7 yards to see if it's similar to that CQB triangle that Vortex actually has. They're roughly around the same ring size, so I would assume that it would be pretty much on the money every single time. Coming up pretty darn well. Utilizing that 65 MOA ring, I'm using that bottom chevron, and then it's actually working out pretty decently in terms of just standard close range shooting. The dot is sitting roughly around right here, and everything else is going roughly around right here. So we're gonna set it up right now and then try a couple failure drills. Pretty good so far. With that failure drill, I was pretty much just aiming and utilizing that bottom chevron portion of it, and it's working pretty darn good. Nothing outside of the headshot. I was just pretty much aiming at this little area right here, and everything is going inside without issue. With that 65 MOA ring, people will say that it's a little bit too busy for them, but I find that it actually works pretty darn good as a measurement tool so that I can actually utilize it at close ranges accurately. So I'd say it's pretty darn good, pretty darn accurate so far. All in all, I'd say that the HOLOSUN did a wonderful job at mimicking a holographic sight. It is going to be super duper durable. It is holding up zero towards 12 gauge and 308 as well. And it's super clear every single time. It does have this nice little solar panel right here. It is a solar failsafe, so it doesn't actually charge up that battery. However, it does do an auto adjust with these things, and it will pretty much take solar energy instead of your battery energy to conserve battery life a little bit more. It is proven to be super useful to me. These things are rated for about 50,000 hours worth of run time at the lowest setting or at the lower setting. It does have 12 brightness adjustments and 4 different night vision adjustments too to make it actually work out pretty well for you. Other than that, these things are freaking tanks. They look good, they feel good, and they function well. Everything is still nice and hardy in terms of the mounting, and I would definitely highly recommend these things. Right now, they are currently running about $250 to about $400 and $420, depending on which model and which type that you do. If you're getting the one that is just a dot by itself, the most base level without the front covers or anything or solar panel, those things run roughly about $250 to $300 or so, depending on if you get the red or green dot. If you have astigmatism, it might actually help out for you to actually get the green dot, but it's all personal preference. They work pretty darn well. You can get these things here at amphibiancustoms.com. If you use this little tiny code word, you'll get 10% off anything that you actually purchase on that online store. Other than that, Like, share, subscribe down below. And as always, thanks for stopping by.